Here we go.
You're tuning in to Will Love Listen. Now listen.
Anjelah Johnson, thank you for joining me today. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we both know Steven, and I've heard like so many good things about you. And I've actually followed your career on and off for a while. Like I used to watch you on MADtv when I was younger. I loved your character. So I really want to go into your career from start to finish. But first, I want to know a little bit about your background. If we could start it off and take it back that way.
Sure. What
So
would you like to know?
well, I understand you were raised a devout Christian in a Mexican and Native American household. So I found that interesting. I wanted to know where you grew up and how was your life like growing up?
Yeah, well, we started off Catholic and then my parents got divorced and then they both separately started going to Christian churches.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it really started for me was in youth group at Christian church. And my dad's church that he went to was like super conservative. And then my mom's church that she went to was more like non-denominational. A lot of kids that look like me in the youth group, you know what I mean? So it was an important part of my upbringing for sure.
Interesting. I grew up Catholic too. Um,
Did you do catechism and your communion and all that?
I did, yeah.
So did I.
Confirmation, all of that. But I actually made confirmation in an Episcopal church. But
Oh,
but I did my communion in a Catholic church.
that's cool.
Um, yeah, it was interesting. So prior to comedy, I understand you were a cheerleader for the Oakland Raiders, which included gigs, and I found this to be super impressive. Well, I can't talk today, but it included gigs as big as performing at the Super Bowl.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that is so intriguing. So how was that experience?
Incredible. My first time at a professional football game, I was on the field as a cheerleader, which is wild to me. And then we ended up making it all the way to the Super Bowl that year. What? Like just I was living on a dream, like on a cloud, just dream world, Like sky's the limit. And right after the Super Bowl, I came home and I packed up my room and I drove down to Hollywood in my station wagon and I said, I'm going to be an actress and went and got started.
I love that. Were you like working to be a professional cheerleader your whole life, or was that something that kind of came about like later on?
Not at all. I never in my life imagined I'd be a pro cheerleader. I was a Pop Warner cheerleader and I did high school, I did college all stars, which is more like competitive cheerleading, tumbling, stunts, that kind of stuff. And pro cheerleading was more like sexy dancing. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. No, thank you. Um, and then I wanted to be an actress in Hollywood, but it felt so far-fetched, you know? And I had a friend of mine who I grew up with became an Oakland Raiderette, and she was like, "You should come try out." I was like, "No, girl, it's not really my jam." But then I had another friend that was like, I because she was an actress, and she was like, "Well, if you move out," and I basically, okay, I'm gonna go try out for the Raiderettes, and if I make the squad, I'll use that as my sign to
Yeah,
pursue the entertainment industry. And if I don't make the squad, then I'll use that as my sign that the entertainment industry is not for me. And so I called my friend. I said, I'm gonna come to these tryouts, and I went. I made the squad and went to the Super Bowl and moved to Hollywood.
that's an incredible story. And I believe in all of that, like signs.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I feel for you to, be doing cheerleading in that year, go to the Super Bowl. That was like, there's no bigger sign than that.
Right, exactly.
So then how did your adventure into becoming an actress and comedian go from there? Because, you do the Super Bowl, you're probably high off of that. So what happened next?
So I started as an extra on Friends, my favorite show of all time. I was an extra. And at that point, I was like, I made it. I don't need to do anything else. I'm an extra on Friends. This is all my dreams come true.
Yeah.
Um, and then Friends ended, and I was an extra on the spin-off show, the Joey spin-off show.
Okay.
And then the AD, the assistant director, after the Joey spin-off show, went to a different show, and he brought me on as a stand-in. So I kind of got a little promotion from an extra to a stand-in. And while I was a stand-in on this show, I started taking a joke writing stand-up comedy class at a church because it was free. So I took this joke writing class, and one of the first jokes that I ever wrote was this nail salon bit that ended up blowing up my spot years later. And from there, my career started to take off as a stand-up comedian when I had never wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I wanted to be an actress, but stand-up is what took off for me. So it was one of those things that where it's like grow where you're planted, you know? And if stand-up is what's flourishing for me, let me run with it and see what happens. And here I am with 6 1-hour specials and touring and living my life as a professional comedian.
That's so interesting to me because I actually was going to ask you like if you always had an interest in comedy. Um, but yeah, so it seems like
No,
comedy found you.
my first introduction to stand-up comedy was I was a teenager, and we would watch BET's Comic View. And that was my first introduction to stand-up comedy. And then when I got to LA, my cousin Joe gave me a George Lopez CD. And that was my first introduction to a comedian who is telling stories that sounded like my life that I could actually relate to.
Yeah.
And then I started looking into more stand-up comedians that I would like. And I found Ellen DeGeneres, and I loved Ellen. Um, I love Brian Regan. Brian Regan was so fun and silly and relatable. I loved Mitch Hedberg. Um, I just started learning about different comics and comics that sounded like my voice, basically. My voice meaning like George Lopez being the kind of stories that I tell, Latino stories, but then also Ellen DeGeneres just telling regular everyday stories, w- walking and waving hi to someone that you thought was waving hi to you, but turns out they're not waving hi to you, like those everyday type situations.
Like
And I'm
awkward
like,
moments.
yes, like stuff like that that I'm like, that's what I find funny and interesting, you know? Um, so I started to learn about stand-up comedians, still not necessarily because I wanted to be one, just because I was like, oh, this is a thing called stand-up comedy. These people are funny. And then next thing you know, I'm at this church and they're offering this class for free. And I was like, sure, I'll take the class. Why not? And that's how it started.
That's great. And you ended up having like such a huge run on Mad TV. And I love Mad TV because I feel like it was always a little bit more edgy and raunchier than SNL. And you could let me know whether or not you agree with that or
A
not.
lot of people say that.
Yeah, yeah, I always felt even from a yeah, because I was really young when I got into Mad TV. Um, but I caught on that quick, and I still sometimes here and there watch reruns, and I'm like, wow, I'm like they were a bit like ahead. So I wanted to know, like, working on that show, what was your experience like with MTV? Like, give me some behind the scenes tea on the cast, the filming process, the relationship dynamics.
Well, I was only on the show for a short period of time, but when I was on the show, it was the year of the writers' strike. And I remember being in the writers' room, and it was this, you know, room with a bunch of different offices. And then there's like the bullpen in the middle, then there's conference rooms, and all the cast members are there. Everybody's writing, pitching ideas, working with each other. Um, and at that time, I was new, so none of the writers really knew my voice,
Yeah.
knew how to write for me, or would like create this brand new character out of nowhere for me to do or something like that. So I was getting the role of like detective number three in this sketch or Native American girl in this sketch. And I just say like two words, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but they also gave us the opportunity to write for ourselves. And I wrote this Bon Qui Qui sketch and I pitched it at our table read. And that's where everybody who's writing scripts all week long, at the end of the week, you come around and you cast members. And it's like, okay, um, Keegan, you're gonna be Dwan and blah blah blah. You just start assigning people to read.
Yeah.
And there's a binder this thick of scripts, and everybody's assigned a character. So we just read through each script, and the ones that everybody laughs at, that thinks funny, the producers like, that's what they pick to film for that next episode. So we would do that, and I wrote my sketch, and I remember I had originally assigned um Jordan Peele as Dewan, but he was already assigned too many characters that table read.
Yeah.
We're like, let's have Keegan read this because he got too many sketches to read. And we read my Bon Qui Qui sketch and everybody loved it. And then they sat me down with one of the writers who is an actual writer, and he helped me like fill it out more and like give it more like structure. And they ended up picking it to be filmed. And so that's how Bon Qui Qui got on air, is this sketch that I wrote. And that was the character that I auditioned with for the show. Um, and it was an incredible experience.
Yeah, and Bon Qui Qui is such an iconic character. And that's very interesting that they let you have that creative freedom.
Oh yeah, it was very cool. Everybody could pitch whatever they wanted. There's still what's interesting is a lot of the actors would pitch different new characters or sketches,
Yeah.
and they were so good, and some of them wouldn't get picked. And I remember there was one sketch that was so funny, and I still in my brain quote it today, but it never made it to air. It was just from that table read. And there is something in that script that was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And when I hear it, like I hear somebody say something in a sentence, I'll think of that little quote that she did. And it's just so interesting how that works. Like you pitch and pitch and pitch, and then sometimes there's like, no, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. But like I really feel like there's a lot of gold on the cutting room floors of so many shows, you know?
That's so funny that you mentioned that because I feel like that's the same way because I've interviewed musicians and I feel like that's the same thing in the music industry as well. Like some of the best work ends up going unreleased.
Hmm.
Or never being fully like brought, like in your case, with comedy, never being fully, brought to light, like brought to the public. Why do you think that is in the entertainment industry that some of the best work never ends up seeing the light of day?
Well, you have a lot of suits making decisions and artists creating, and then suits thinking that they know better. Sometimes they may know better. I mean, there's lots of great shows on TV right now. So some suit knew better, you
Yeah,
know? Some suit said, this is going to be great. Let's put it on TV. Next thing you know, you have Friends. That suit really knew what he was doing, you know?
yeah.
And then there's other suits that don't. And or they do their best and they're like, "No, nobody's going to like this."
Where
And
do you
then
stand
they say
on
no.
that? Do you think it's like a problem? Do you think it's become worse over time, or the opposite? Like, what do you feel?
I don't know if it's worse over time or it's just always been. This is what it is, you know? I think the more that we'll see artist-led entertainment, um, it'll we'll see like a different kind of content because there's writers who write scripts that are phenomenal and then they get notes back from the studio, change this, and this. Like there's so many shows again that are great on TV, but then there's so many shows that I'm like, oh man, I wonder what the original idea would have looked like before they got redlined all over the place, you know?
Exactly. So that's something that like I always am curious about because like I've heard it in the music industry, obviously the comedy industry now. So it's very interesting that there's a lot of people that sort of do you feel like the execs tend to water content down too much in this day and age?
I think they try to cater to a dollar,
Okay.
basically. I
Like
think
whatever's the most commercial, essentially.
um whether it's in ads or who they think is their demographic and what they think their demographic wants, you know? Um, I think they place their bets that way.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about it, so I wanted to get your take.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
Now, after Matt TV, like you mentioned earlier, you went on to have comedy specials on Comedy Central and Netflix alike. You went further into acting. So, over the course of your career, what have been some of your most memorable projects? And were there any projects at all that you look back and you're like, ugh?
Sure. My very first hour special, that's how we do it. I was just watching my intro for it the other day because I was looking for a specific joke. And I was like, I think it's my first hour special. So I went back to take a look at it. And I was so impressed at my boldness to be unique and different. In my first hour special, I had uh, a dance crew, the Beat Freaks. They came out and they did a dance, and then I danced with them at the end. I had a DJ on stage. It was
Right.
a whole fun, like, vibey thing that now I probably wouldn't do. I'd be like, no, let's just keep it stand up. Let's just do jokes. Just keep it jokes. That's what people want. People just want jokes. So just keep it jokes. But my first hour, I was like, no, and then what if I dance? And then what if this? And what if, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
I was watching this going, man, I was actually really brave and bold. And I kind of miss that about myself sometimes. Like, I enjoy what I do now, but I look at that young girl who was, let's see, how old was I when I filmed that special? 20, let me see, that was 2000. When was that special? 2003 is when I moved to LA. 2004, 5, 6, 7. I think it was 25. No, 2009. I'm trying to remember these dates. I might have been like 26 or 27 when
Okay.
that special came out because I moved to the, and I'm pretty sure the special came out in 2009. So I might have been like 26 or 27. And so I'm now 42. And I just look back at this young version of me. And even in that special, there's things about my delivery that I cringe. I'm like, oh my gosh, in my voice, in the way I walk. Um, I'm like cringing at certain things. But at the same time, I'm like, but man, I was brave. That's pretty cool. Like, I did what I wanted to do. I had a vision and I did it.
Yeah, I give you kudos because you got experimental with it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And you're probably more critical of yourself and how like you did it than, viewers are and people who
Sure.
attend the show.
Sure. You would think, but then go look at some comments and no, I think they can out criticize me.
I just feel like that social media in general, I don't remember people being as critical as they are now, before Instagram became like really big and all of that. I feel like people are a lot more critical now because social media is what it is today.
Yeah. It used to just be Siskel and Ebert, and now it's everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone has an opinion.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes I feel like if I was in your shoes or like any artist and like you're so open to criticism, sometimes it's better to just not have the comments on. But
Oh
then
yeah.
you probably feel also disconnected from the world. So
Right.
I imagine you have a love-hate relationship with social media. Like I feel a lot of people do
Really?
entertainment. Do
There's
you?
sure there are certain platforms that I won't read the comments because they're just known to just be more vicious. And then there's some platforms where I'll read it, but I know I'm probably going to see something that's hurtful.
Yeah.
I feel very safe on my Instagram page with my Instagram comments. Every now and then I get some hater comments, but for the most part, I have a very supportive community on Instagram. TikTok, I will get mostly supportive, but I'll get some real nasty comments, usually from men who
Really?
don't like women comedians whatsoever. Um, and then Facebook is wild.
Yeah.
Facebook is its own beast. I used to not read any of my YouTube comments, but that has changed since I've started developing out my YouTube channel more and catering, like building the audience that I want on YouTube. So I don't get as much nasty comments on YouTube like I used to. I still get some, but I don't really get as many nasty comments. And then you get people that don't think that you're actually reading the comments.
Yeah.
And, there'll be girls. I've seen a girl just commented recently was like, what happened to her face? Is that too much Botox or not enough?
Wow.
And I was like, girl, DM me a picture of you from 20 years ago and today so I could judge your face. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, matter of fact, send me a picture of your whole body. Let me give your whole body a little judgment call. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't do that. I didn't comment, but I saw it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many people that just willy-nilly out here just saying stuff, not realizing that these are actual human beings that are reading these comments.
Yeah. See, that's exactly my point. Like, it's like I have to. So I interviewed Nikki Glazer a couple times, and she told me these days she barely even looks because that one nasty comment
Oh, yeah.
more overpowering than the hundreds of positive ones. Do you feel like that's the same case with you, where you could see a bunch of positive ones and a comment like that will just like shit on your day?
Absolutely. For the longest time in one, I think it was maybe it was my second hour of comedy. And somebody left a comment about one of my jokes and how it was so cheesy and corny and just like, really? Oh my God, this joke is so corny and cheesy, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think that would affect me, but for a good few months after that, every single time I went to do that joke on stage, I heard that comment in my head. This joke is so corny. Every time I went to go do it. I don't believe that about the joke. I believe the joke is very funny. And still till this day, people quote this specific joke. People will tag me in Instagram stories relating to this joke. So
Yeah.
it's really just this one person who was like, I think this is corny. But for some reason, that stuck in my head. And every time I would go do this joke, I'd be like, oh, this is so corny. And I would have to like fight myself, be like, no, it's not. This joke is not corny. This joke is funny. It gets a laugh every single time.
Yeah.
People respond on social media afterwards telling me how much they relate to this joke.
You can't let the trolls make you self-critical, but I feel like that's so hard with social media.
It really is.
It really is. But it seems like you navigate it well.
I try. It's balance. It's like I want to engage and connect with my community, but then at the same time, I want to protect myself from toxicity. But that's like the balance, like you get in the ocean and one of these waves might knock you down.
Yeah.
But are you gonna rob yourself from the experience of getting in the ocean? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to rob myself from the experience of connecting with my fans and people who actually care about the work that I do and they connect with me on a human level and they feel like we're best friends because the way I talk, the stories I tell, they're like, oh my gosh, me too, me too. And that's validating for me when I interact with people on social media. I've actually made friends from people on social media,
Oh, that's great. I have,
started as fans and now they're friends.
yeah. It's very interesting. I have a love-hate relationship with it, as I'm
Yeah,
sure as well. And you
totally.
made an interesting statement. You said that some of you get hate on TikTok from men that just aren't fond of women comedians. Has
Uh-huh.
that been like a particular hurdle that you've encountered in your career or no?
No, not at all. My fans love me. That's really just in social media.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. The reason I asked that is because I've heard like different things from different female comedians, so I was curious about that.
For me personally, no. I've done very well and um I actually feel like my male audience is growing. When I look in the audience, I see a lot of men, and it used to be like, oh, it's the husbands that their wives made them come to the show. But now sometimes I'll see like groups of men and like they're coming with their friends to my show, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing here? Just the other day, I was at a restaurant and there was a group of guys. It was probably like four guys, and they were visiting from Texas here in Nashville. And one of them stopped me and said, "Hello, we're big fans," and woo woo woo. And it was just four dudes sitting at the table, and they're like, "Yeah, nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, nice to meet you." And here's the thing too. I love my gay boys. Okay. And I have lots of gay boys that come to my show. And
Yeah.
when I see my group of gay boys, that's no surprise to me. That's like, hey, booze, thanks for coming again. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah,
not no
exactly.
type of surprise. But when I see a group of straight men that are like, hey, we love your comedy, I'm like, you do? Oh,
Yeah, you're probably like, oh damn, nice.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you really, and I could see that, like, well, like why you appeal to like all different like groups, like every, from straight men to gay men to women of all types. Like I could see that. I like your comedy. I feel like it's able to appeal to a lot of people. You know, like how some comics have like a very niche audience because,
Sure.
um, yeah, I feel like you're very relatable.
Thank you.
Um, and something I wanted to ask you about is for the longest time you had discussed not wanting children, yet in late 2022 you announced that you were pregnant and you gave birth last year, June 2023. So I'm curious, what changed your mind and how is motherhood going now?
COVID changed my mind.
Okay.
When everything shut down and career was on pause, career was the thing that was my baby for a long time. And when everything was on pause and career went away, it didn't affect me like I thought it would. I actually was like, I'm good. Like, if I never act ever again, if I never go on the road ever again, I'm fine. And I never thought I would ever get to that place.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment that I was like, oh, shoot, did I mess up? Should I have had kids? Because everybody always told me that kids were so fulfilling and um I just didn't see it, you know? And so I was like, man, I thought my job was the most fulfilling thing. And turns out it's actually not fulfilling because it's gone and I'm okay. I'm okay without it. So then I started looking into, do I even have any options? I'm already 38 years old. Do I even have any eggs left? You know? That's when I started looking into it and started taking tests and hormones and things like that and realizing that I had minimal eggs left. And the doctors are like, you could still have a kid, but you better hurry up, is what it was. And so from that point on, I said, all right, let me just freeze my eggs. And that way I'll have an option if I decide later that I want kids.
Yeah.
Then, as I started my freezing my eggs process and it wasn't going well, is when I was like, all of a sudden it turned into I wanted kids when somebody was telling me, like, there's a possibility you may not have kids. Now I was like, well, now I want them, you know?
Yeah, because now you're probably nervous and you're like, you
Yeah.
probably feel you only have like this certain window of time.
Uh-huh. So that's when it kind of switched to I'm not just saving my eggs, I actually want kids. And I tried IVF, did it a couple times, didn't work, and I ended up getting pregnant naturally and had my baby girl, Rosie,
Oh,
in
congratulations.
June. Thank you.
How has that been going?
amazing. It's everything all my friends always said it would be, worth it, you know? Um, she's so special. She's so funny. She's so joyful. She's so precious. She's just so just love, and makes everything worth it.
I feel like COVID made a lot of people reevaluate their life in a way.
Oh,
I mean, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, just hearing your story, I feel like that's the case with a lot of people. That's how like this my podcast got started because I was DJing in radio and I got furloughed during COVID and I'm like, what the hell I was gonna do? This has been my life
yeah.
for 8 years. Um, but then I started the podcast and I eventually got into television production work, which I do now, and I like television way more than radio. I feel like it's a much more reliable industry in a plethora of ways. Um, so yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, 2020 was definitely a time where people were reevaluating a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I used to be unsure about kid. I actually do want to have like a child. I'm actually the fourth in my family, like William the fourth. So
Oh,
I want,
wow.
yeah, so I do want to have the fifth, but I feel like it's being gay, it's so hard because it's like,
It's definitely different.
yeah, because you either have to like adopt or get a surrogate, basically,
Hella money.
yeah, so I need that's why I hustle because
Even if you do adopt, hella money.
yeah, yeah.
It's just having kids is expensive, period. But if you have to use science or adoption, it's an extra expense from then if you just go knock up somebody. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. God. But it's worth it. So
Yeah, totally.
like I feel like that. I'm like, I don't want to like be old and have nobody. So plus
Mhm.
like I always grew up very close to my family. And that's something like I wanted to touch upon like with you. That's why I asked about like your religious background and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like the entertainment industry is like such is a very liberal industry, and you probably grew up like a bit more conservative or like with like more religious values like I did.
Mhm.
So I was curious if that was ever what if like difficult to navigate in the beginning. Like if it ever felt like a sense of duality, if that makes sense.
I definitely had my faith as like guideposts for me in the industry in what kind of projects I would do. But the thing about that is even with my faith as my guidepost, my faith is to be interpreted however I want to interpret it.
Yeah.
And even if I'm reading the same Bible somebody else's, we interpret things differently. So my guidepost is going to look different from this other Christian's guidepost. You know what I mean? Like she may do something differently and be like, no, I would never do that. And I'm like, oh, I already signed up. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
sorry, and vice versa. Somebody could be doing something I'm completely uncomfortable with. I'm like, no, I'm not about it. But I'm grateful for my faith as a guidepost. And at the same time, there was definitely times where I think I made the wrong decision because my faith was my guidepost.
Oh,
Like I
that
was trying to do the right thing, what I thought was the right Christian thing to do.
yeah.
And looking back, I was like, girl, that was no big deal. You would have been fine. And you just missed out on an amazing opportunity because you were trying to be all holier than thou.
Was it holier than thou or was it overthinking?
Both. I wanted to be honorable. I wanted, my pastors and church to be proud of me and woo woo woo. It was all of it.
Yeah, no, I get you. No, I feel you with that. And that sort of leads me to ask a question that I saw you had posted on social media, a happy Pride Month message. And I didn't realize how many gay people surrounded you. It was
Oh, all
your
the gays.
yeah, it was like to your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your best friend, and their partners. I'm like, shit, wow.
My family is a pride parade. We have our own parade every year. Just kidding.
I mean, you very well could. I mean,
I know.
obviously, you have a lot of gay and lesbian people in your immediate circle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, coming off that last question, what advice do you give to LGBT people who are Christian, Catholic, and have trouble navigating their faith with their sexual orientation, um, due to bigotry they may have been exposed to personally and or within the media?
So good. I would say your relationship with your creator is so special and so unique. No one else's relationship with their creator is like it. Just like your thumbprint is so unique and only yours, so is your relationship with your creator. That nobody can say anything to it, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. There's nothing anyone can say that should affect the way you engage with your creator, however you want to do it. Meditation, prayer, gratitude, worship, communion, lighting candles, however it is that you want to connect with God, go for it. Do it. Do what whatever makes you feel connected to God. Um, on my podcast, I have an episode coming out soon with my friend Shane Stevens, who is a spirit-filled, tongue-talking gay man. And he's been told all the things from everybody, so much judgment. And he is could care less because his relationship with God is so tight. He's constantly just praying and love, and he has his husband that he's been with for years, his partner. They're not technically married yet, but they're getting married. And they do their daily devotional together. They do their worship together. He This interview that I'm gonna release soon with Shane Stevens is gonna be so powerful. There's tears, there's laughter, there's it it's a really special experience for anybody who is gay and wants to have a relationship with God and has been told that they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I think this will be look him up, period. Shane Stevens, look him up. And he just came out with a song. He's a singer-songwriter. He came out with a song called Don't Hijack My Jesus. And it's basically a song to like everybody who said, like, you can't love Jesus. Jesus don't love you. And he's like, that's not my God. Don't hijack my Jesus. My God don't say that to me. My God says he loves me. My God says this. So you can check out his song, Don't Hijack My Jesus. But yeah, just enter in the presence of God however you want to and know that you're allowed to and you're welcomed.
I love that because I feel like it's difficult being like gay and being religious at the same time because you have people on both sides shitting on you. You
Mhm.
have like, the religious people like pacifying you and saying, "Oh, but like that lifestyle is wrong," and say that you have a choice and that you're like a sinner. And then on the other side, you also have like bitter gay people that had bad experiences and they take it out on you, being like, "Oh, why the fuck do you believe that?"
Mhm.
They believe you're going to hell anyway. You look ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. So you have people on both sides shitting on you. So
Uh-huh.
I feel like that it's hard for people that are gay and have like, religious values because you have people on both sides kind of like,
Mhm.
putting you down. So you kind of, you know, at a crossroads a lot of the time because and feel insecure about it. So I definitely wanted to ask you about that. So thank you.
At the end of the day, either one of those sides, neither one of them is the one who wraps their arms around you when you are deeply hurting inside. Only God. Only God is the one that can whisper in your ear and be like, I got you. And you can trust that he does. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
this guy who's bitter and this guy who says you're not allowed, neither one of them is the one that's still whispering in your ear. Just God. So just you and God. It's always just you and God.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. I feel that. Um, I feel like that I feel like that's why a lot of gay people have issues because they never heal from shit like that. And it just creates like a cycle of toxicity,
Hmm.
but that's how I feel. Um, Now Alternatively, have you ever encountered resistance by those of your own faith for your support of like LGBT people and so forth?
All the time. That post that you're talking about, I lost thousands of followers that day.
Really? Well, see, yeah, exactly. That speaks to the point I was just making. That's insane.
You know what I said? I said, bye. What?
I'm just so shocked in 2020 where people give a fuck, honestly, because and that it's to both sides too. I don't understand why like religious people make it such a big deal, but then on the flip side, I also don't understand why gay people feel like like their rights are going to be taken away at any moment at this point. I feel like no, that's not going to happen overnight. So I just feel like both sides have their own issues, and it's
Right.
annoying.
That's right. My friend said it perfectly the other day, who is also a queer, faith-filled, loves God, loves Jesus person. And after this election, he posted something that was like, what matters most right now is build your community around you.
Yeah.
Lean into your community. Like that's what matters. Your day-to-day community, the people who love you, the people who fight for you, like just continue building your community. That's what matters most right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can't believe you got so much hate for that post because that's insane. Now, earlier this year, you launched your podcast, which I love the title. I'm gonna butcher the fucking name, I know.
Funjelah.
Funjelah,
Like
yeah,
Angela, but it's fun. It's
yeah.
Funjelah.
Um, Now I can't wait to hit that episode up when it comes out. But what's the overall premise of your podcast and how have you been enjoying it so far? Because pod doing podcasting is like a different beast from comedy.
I love it. The premise of my podcast is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most important and powerful tools that I've used in my mental health journey, with anxiety and any time I've struggled with depression or anything. Um, I've gone through therapy and I've learned different tools to help manage my anxiety. I've used different supplements to manage my anxiety, breathing techniques, prayer, journaling, um, all a bunch of stuff. But one of the most powerful tools is gratitude. And I think once you shift your perspective onto gratitude, it immediately changes things more so than if you take a pill or a tincture or anything like that. Those things work.
Yeah.
But when you stop the cycle that's happening in there and you pause and you focus on things that you're grateful for, let's say 5 things that you're grateful for, and then you say the thing that you're grateful for. You say it out loud. Because it's one thing to think it, right? You stop the machine from thinking all these bad thoughts, right? And you pause and you go, no, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head, blah, 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 blah. I'm grateful I was able to pay my rent this month when I thought I wasn't going to do it. And woo, God came through and I was able to pay my rent. You start thinking of all the things that you're grateful for. So you're switching already in your mind. Then you take it a step further, you say it out loud. And now, once you say it out loud and you put that vibration out there, you send it out into the world, right?
Yeah.
You are raising your vibration from this low frequency of anxiety. Now you're raising your vibration to this higher frequency of gratitude. And not only that, when you say it out loud, you hear yourself saying the thing that you're grateful for. So it started here and it came out here, and then you hear it and it goes back in your body. And then you say something else you're grateful for. It comes out and it goes back in your body. It's like this big gratitude circle that just you keep filling yourself up with gratitude. You say the gratitude, put it out into the world, you hear it, and it comes right back into you, and you just fill yourself up with all this gratitude. And so it's like a way of elevating your vibration, your mood. And on my podcast, we do gratitudes and matitudes. So we start with one matitude. What's the one thing that's making you mad these days and giving you a bad attitude, or as I like to call it, a matitude? And so we say that one thing and we get it out of our body, we let it go, and then we move into gratitude and we talk about 5 things that we're grateful for. And within those gratitudes, it leads to some really incredible conversations. And I've had guests on who are in the entertainment industry. I recently had a guest that's coming out soon. She's a veterinarian. I had my old road manager on. I've had comedians on, actors, and it's just a really fun conversation focused on gratitude.
I like that. That's so interesting. To say like your matitude and then flip to the gratitude. And I've struggled with anxiety on and off. Usually it's triggered by something.
Hmm.
Uh, but so since you brought that up, I feel that's a really good technique. But what are some other techniques and or supplements that how you've had good experience with?
So my supplements that I use are called Amare, Amare. You can go to my Instagram page and click the link in my bio, and it goes to my whole everything you want, tour dates, store, whatever. And if you go all the way down to the bottom, it'll say the healthy stuff, and that's where I talk about which products I use from Amare. And the science behind Amari is basically your gut health is directly connected to your mental health. So your gut brain and your actual brain are directly connected. So if your gut health is not in order, your mental health will not be in order either. So it's about getting that good bacteria in your gut, getting your gut in alignment, and that affects your mental health. So there's a lot of companies out there that have that type of idea behind their products. Getting your gut health together changes your mental health. So you can look up any other product that you want. The ones that I use are called Amari, and I swear by them for me. Um, and some of the techniques, my go-to techniques, a breathing technique is inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And a lot of times I also do pressure with my fingers while I count. And it's a good distraction. And I do the one where you hold the nostril, you inhale, and then you switch and you exhale and you do it backwards like that. Those are some of my go-to breathing techniques. I would say, yeah, a lot of like finger pressure. I do um singing. I start singing because then again it comes back to that vibration, you know? Like the vibration in your body. I start humming. If I feel anxiety, I start humming and that vibration like breaks up whatever anxiety I'm feeling. I'll be walking through the airport and I'm just like and I'm just like buzzing inside. I'm like, let me break this up, something I don't like what I'm feeling. Um so yeah, those are just some of my go-to techniques.
I like it. I like it. Um, that's good. I definitely want to check it out now. I like that whole concept behind your podcast. It's different.
Thank you.
And I love like different podcasts.
Well, you gotta check it out. Fungeula.
Yes, check it out, everybody. And you're currently on tour with, I was going through your website. You have a plethora of shows lined up through like the whole next year, like end of 2024 into all of 2025. Like you have so many dates in 2025. Now what can fans expect on this tour? Give me all the
So
tea.
this is my family reunion tour, and this is my new hour since becoming a mom, talking about all of that stuff. Talking about being an old mom, in my
Yeah.
40s. Um, and yeah, I'm going on a bus with my husband, my daughter, everybody's coming. We're doing a whole bus run across the country, and it's gonna be amazing.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. You're kicking the new year off with like in style.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a busy year.
you have like a ton of local dates too. I know you have like some in the city, you have some in New Jersey. I was looking, I believe I saw Atlantic City, Red Bank, obviously Manhattan, so and all over the tri-state area. So I can't wait. I'm definitely gonna come to one of the Jersey shows for sure.
Thank you. I hope to see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And we can make backstage, get a photo with some
Yes,
of the
of
stuff.
course. A
Fun.
follow up to the interview.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Are you having any opening acts? How long is your set? What are some topics that are going to be discussed?
I have one opening act, and they usually do anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, and then I do about an hour and 10 minutes. And what was your other question?
Well, I asked how long your set was and what topics will be discussed.
A lot of my new life as a mom, my new like how I interact with my husband in our marriage. I always talk about my husband in my shows. Um Talking about getting older and social media. Um yeah, a lot of how my point of view has shifted since becoming a mom on a bunch of different topics.
Oh, I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Now recently, obviously, we're recording this interview on Friday, November 8th, everybody. So it'll come out closer to the new year, but this is obviously why I'm asking this, but it'll be more relevant then. Recently, comedians have become very political. And some comedy fans have become divided because they no longer view comedy as an escape. So, what are your thoughts on the more polarizing figures in comedy? And do you feel like this is just like a temporary thing that's been happening?
I think the beautiful thing about comedy is there's a voice for everyone.
Yeah,
There's
that's
somebody who
good. Yeah.
wants to hear that point of view in a joke form. There's
Yeah.
somebody who wants that, and they're speaking to a specific audience. And I love to unite people and bring people together, so I steer clear of politics in my stand up. And I really just tell stories of my life and relatable stories that somebody else might be going through at home. My favorite my favorite thing to see in an audience is people being like, "Me too," or they're pointing at their husband or their wife going, "That's what they do." Yeah, they're like connecting with me on what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's usually just about an everyday life situation. And that's kind of my lane that I like to stay in. And I've found it to be relatable and connective, and I like it.
Yeah. So basically, comedy is still an escape when they go to your shows.
Oh, for sure.
And the reason I ask that is because I have a lot of comedians. Comedy listeners are actually my number one audience. So whenever I post a social, I'm going to be interviewing a comedian as of late. I get some sort of question within that like realm.
Mm.
Um, And it's very interesting because just like you said, there's something for everyone in comedy because you have people like Kathy Griffin and Margaret Cho, who I love, and I've come on my show a couple times. They always integrate politics. And then
Mhm.
you have people like Urzila Carlson, and I think you would fit into this category as well, who just completely avoid it. So it's very interesting. And that's a good way to sum it up is like, there's something for everyone. And I like that.
Yeah, I stay in my lane. I'm not for everyone. No comic is for everyone.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, that's what people know.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something
yeah,
for everyone, and no comic is for everyone. And
that's right.
I like how your nature is. You just brush it off your shoulders. That's the way to go about
I try my hardest to.
it. You probably do it better than me because I need to listen to your podcast and take some tips because
That's
like I
right.
can get worked up over something. Like recently, like a friend betrayed me. So I'm like, how could they do this to me? I'm like, uh, how could they for a second time? I'm like, how could I get back at them? I'm like, I have so much I could expose. And then part of me is just like, as much as you want to, just let it go.
Not worth it.
Sometimes being at peace is like your best friend.
That's
So
right. That's right. And also, they did that because that's in their character to do that. They've already showed you who they are once, and now you didn't believe them, and then they just proved it to you a second time. Now you don't need to retaliate because that's not your character. Let that be their character and who they are. And just know, sure, you have a lot of stuff that you could expose them with. You don't need to, but let them do them. And then you just learn from that. Like when people show you who they are, it's up to us to believe them, you know?
yeah, I like that. I like that. You're zenning me out because I'm a
There
reactor.
you go, boo.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to meet you when I come to your show.
Hey.
Um, So I'm very excited. I love the conversation that we have. I feel like I really resonate with you and, different things about you and your background. So thank
Yep.
you for joining me, and I can't wait to meet you.
Same. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, smile because I'm gonna grab a photo for the cover art. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Yes, definitely.
Bye.